Material Mom here for my morning talk show. All right, I just have several things to talk about today. Made my list because I don't have a list. I am nothing without my list. All right, there's a few things that I wanted to bring up and explain to you. All right, people are wondering, and they keep saying, what are you doing with all this Teemu stuff? I always wondered that about all the other people that do hauls and they just get so much stuff. What are you doing with it? Donate it. Do this, do that. They all give me suggestions and everything. Give it to a women's shelter. Give it to the... Well, first of all, we don't have a women's shelter in my little town. We don't have the only used place we have is an adult handicap place that runs a little store. So I take the stuff there that I don't want. But I have such a large family that I want to give it to my family first. So, like yesterday, I went over to Trevor's wife and I gave her some stuff that I won't be using. So I like to give it to my family first. My granddaughter that's pregnant, she can wear some of these clothes too and stuff. All right. So that's what I do with it. I try to buy things that for gifts or things that I really am going to need and use and have a plan for. And they say, you can't have that many dresses. Well, I used to sew and I had 40 dresses. I remember when I married Jamie, I counted them, and that doesn't count all the skirts and the ensembles. It's always been my thing, and I do wear them. I love to dress up every Sunday or when I go to our temple or when I go places, and I wear them. I do wear them all. So I don't want to give them away if I like them. Like my husband says, if you give everything away that you like, then you're just going to want to buy more. That's true. So I'm just going to, sorry, I was looking at my candle. It's so pretty. I'm just going to keep the dresses. And as I wear them, if I don't like them, I'll get rid of them then. So one person said, us Teemu people on here, we wouldn't shop like this if we didn't have our channels. And that's so true. All right, I'm going to give you an example because people don't talk about this, but how much money do you make when you get monetized? All right, I have 4,300 subscribers. So is it subscribers that make you the money or is it the views? Well, I don't really know. I looked it up because I wanted to know, should I just fight for more subscribers or should I just go for more views? Well, all I know is I can't find anything that really, they say, oh, they both count. Oh, they both matter. And who knows? But I did find this from experience. I had one YouTube show that said 10 Teemu plus size dress try on. I don't know why, but that one video got 57,000 views. So I made, on our thing, a list, I made $357 off of that one video. That's my highest one, and that's usually I only am getting $50, which pays, for the stuff I bought from Teemu. It's like my order was, $50, and then I made $50 showing you. But on that one view, I'll tell you again, 57,000 views, and I don't know why that one got so many views, because I don't even have that many subscribers, and they certainly didn't all subscribe. But on that one, I made $357.74. So that was worth it. If I could make that on everyone, I'd be rich. So what am I doing with the money? I got a snag on my nail. I can't stand it. Just a minute. All right, so what am I going to do with the money? Well, if you don't know, my teeth are bad. I mean, they don't hurt. I don't have cavities or anything, but they're grinding down. And I don't grind my teeth at night because I sleep with my mouth open snoring. And they were small teeth to begin with. I inherited them from my mother. So I have small teeth, and now they're all getting discolored. and I have, this is part filling and this is part filling, and I can fill them loose. They're going to come out. So I can just see, and my sister had to have all veneers because they couldn't fix her teeth. They were too little. She had the same problem, and there was nothing to fix. And so I'm thinking that's going to happen to me. So if I make much money, I'm going to be saving it for my teeth to get fixed. All right. And we have 3 grandsons that are out there in the world being a missionary, and we help them every month. We give them $200 a month each. We pay it. So my money goes to that. And then also, I mean, if I make any, I probably am just buying more stuff with it. So that is kind of what I had to buy. My phone for my recording, so that was a big chunk. So I'm keeping track of all my expenses going out and then my money coming in, because for tax reasons, I don't want to make that much more money because I don't know what it'll do to our taxes. I don't know. Jamie goes, if you make our taxes be more, then you're paying it. Oh, great. So now I'm doing all this for nothing just to pay the taxes? I don't know how it's going to work out. But I'm not making that much money. So that's what I wanted to let you know. The first, it's not, and you can't depend on it because you don't know what's going to happen from month to month. Everybody might decide they hate you and kick you off, or they might decide they don't want to watch you anymore. You're boring or whatever. So you can't count on it. All right. You never know. And I also am learning from doing this. Like, I have to be careful the stories I tell. I found out that this one person that I offended, they've only watched 3 of my videos, and all 3 of them I've said things that offended them. I'm sorry. I'm just facing reality, and this is my life, and this is what goes on. And if I say something that offends people, you don't like me, you don't have to watch, but, we all have lives that live like mine do, I think. We all have expenses, we have chores, we have things to do, we have gifts to give, it's all, cooking. We all have to do what I'm doing. So we have ups and we have downs in life. We have reality that's, hits us hard sometimes. Like, I rode last night driving home, I slid in the ditch. My husband calls it the burrow pit. And then I had to call Trevor to come dig me out. And I knew I couldn't call Jamie because our other car wouldn't do any good. And it was at 10:30 at night. The tractor, would have to drive the tractor down there a couple miles to get me. So I called Trevor because he has a good pickup and a chain, and he pulled me out. So that happened. I put a little show about on it, but I had my grandson do recording, and he's not a cameraman. But anyway, it was my account of it. We were all laughing. No one was hurt. The car didn't get injured or anything. It was fluffy snow, but I was stuck bad. I was afraid the car would roll over because we were on such a hill. So if you don't like what I'm talking about and you don't want to hear my stories, then don't watch me. That's what I say. But this, I don't mean to offend anybody. So if I offended you, I'm very sorry. I don't want to hurt anybody. We're all different, but we're all the same. Okay. Last Sunday, I was watching Little House on the Prairie on the Roku channel, and it brought to mind this, and I said, there we go. Have another morning show subject. All right. The show was about how Laura and her sisters and brothers, and the mother had to go away out of town for some school board meeting or something. So Pa, that's what they called him, Mr. Ingalls, he had to run the home while the wife was gone. So it was pretty cute and pretty funny, and how they burned the food and everything. But it reminded me of when my mother would leave and how my dad would run the house. And so it was pretty funny. So here I have a picture of showing you. This was taken, oh, how many years ago? 25 years ago, maybe. Here's a picture of my mom and dad and the siblings. Okay, I have a glare, but you can see that's what my daddy looked like, and my mother. I can't get the glare out. And my sister, Larry, Carolyn, David, Lisa, Shauna, and me. Okay. Then I'll show you this. Here's a picture of my dad when he was in the Navy. And he was in the Navy. He was born in maybe 24. And my mom was born in 1929. And so 24, 34, 44, was that the year? Maybe somewhere around there. I don't know how old he was when he went into the Navy, but he wrote it's called The Soldier Boy. He wrote a whole book about his experiences when he was in the Navy, and it's pretty cool. And like one story he tells about is how he was a gunner, so he had to take care of the big guns on the deck in the Navy. That was his job. Sorry, I didn't know I had a cough. I'm getting over my cold. So he told this one story in there that he had a captain, I don't know, the boss guy said, we need somebody to go up and make sure the gunner, where that gun is strapped down or whatever it was. Can we have a volunteer or something? And then they called him Whitey. You go up there and do that. So Dad had to get out and go up on deck. And the waves, he said, were just, it was a big old storm. So he went up there to do it. And I don't know what it looked like or what it pictured, but it was real stormy and raining. And he's fighting it all, trying to, you can picture a movie about it. Well, all of a sudden, a voice told him, jump. And so it said it loudly, so he did it. And he jumped, and there was a bar above, so he grabbed onto it. And just as he did this giant wave came. And he said if he hadn't have obeyed that word, God telling him, he would have gone overboard and probably would never have survived. And so, in his story, he tells about things like this. So my dad was a great dad. So when my mom would leave once in a while, and my dad would run the show, and he would cook. He had a few things he cooked. One was he would grate potatoes, peel them and grate them, and then he would put them in the fry pan with eggs. And then, first he cooked the potatoes, and then he would put the eggs in. And it was supposed to be really good, but when Shauna and I would go sit at our table and eat it, the eggs were still kind of runny in it, and we didn't like that part because, a runny egg white looks kind of like snot. So anyway, we would eat it and be loving it because our dad made it. I'm sure he gave us some ketchup for it, but I don't think it really was that great of cooking. And, it's kind of hard raw potatoes to get them done. And so I kind of remember the potatoes, it wasn't done to me. And then he would take us fishing. My dad loved to fish. He would take us fishing, and that was a special thing. Although I don't really remember catching much. But I know he spent half the time just getting our poles ready to, get out there. And so then you just hold it and wait. And I didn't think it was that fun. And then I remember one time going back with it. He always said, put it back and then let it go. Well, there was a lady and a man walking behind me, and I had my hook back there, and the lady was like, ah, trying to get away from the hook, was going to grab her. That stuck out in my mind. And then we would sit on the shore and fish, and I remember him telling us, you have to be quiet. Whisper, you don't want the fish to hear you. Okay, so we did everything he said, but, our dad was like, the memories of him, he never got mad. I never, and if he did, he'd just say, crying out loud, be quiet, we never bothered him. Our noises, mother would always say, shut those kids up, but he never knew we were making any noise. We never bothered him. I never heard my dad say a swear word in all the years he was raising me. I never heard him say a swear word. And he always was so attentive. If we had any homework or science project, my dad, he acted like it was his science project and he would take over. And I know one time I didn't know what to do for my science project ever. And he said, okay, we're going to dye birdseed and see if the birds will eat different colors better than other colors. Anyway, so we did it every day and put the birdseed out in a different color, and I made the poster, and I don't remember what the outcome was. And then another science project, I think he did it with each one of us. We would buy a 10-cent goldfish, and then he would freeze it, and then thaw it out to see if the fish would survive the, cold. I think one time it did. He must not have kept it froze very long. Okay, so he was great helping us with our homework and everything. But when our mother was gone, the other thing he would do is take us to Arctic Circle. I remember, I don't know how many fast food places we had in Grants Pass at the time, but it was Arctic Circle, and they would have hamburgers, 4 for $1. And so he would buy those, and that was a very exciting, special thing. I think we always picked them up and took them home, though. We didn't go in. And ice cream cones were 10 cents. And he'd get us an ice cream cone. And then my dad loved clam digging because he grew up in Washington by the ocean up there, Gray's Harbor and stuff, and clam digging was big for him and his brothers. So anytime we got to the shore, he went clam digging. Now, I never liked them. They're real chewy, and this is good. I just never liked them. I like clam chowder, but I like minced clams. But he would always get the clams and bread them and fry them or something. Razor clams, I don't know. I didn't get the recipe because I never liked them. And he always, when we were growing up, he woke us up every morning. And my mother drove school bus when we were a little bit older, so she would be gone. And so my dad would wake us up and take us we had an early morning seminary church class when we were teenagers at our church before school, and so he would take us there, and we were dedicated. We did all of that at 6 in the morning, and then we'd go to school. And my dad's other favorite thing to do with us, I'm going to show you this picture because I took this of my dad outside here in my front yard. I don't know what year it was. That's Brianna, and she's 21 now. But here's my dad flying kites. He loved flying kites. I don't know why he loved it so much. And he knew how long to put the tail on the kite and what was wrong. And he would do that with us all the time outside. And I don't know how high they got. I don't remember that. But I just remembered he'd tell us, now hold it like this and run with it. And I'll tell you when to let go. And he did it with my grandkids, and here I live in a perfect kite flying place because we get a lot of wind here. Plus, there's no poles or lines anywhere up here on this hill. So when he came to visit me, he would fly the kites here. I'm so glad I have this picture of him flying the kites. And I could fly a good kite now too because he taught me. You got to have a tail on it and all this stuff. All right. He was the best dad because, especially to little children, he loved little children to play with them. And when we got to be teenagers, he treated us a little different than when we were little children. So, but he was always there for us, and always, when we were teenagers, we were kind of like oh, Dad, because he kind of would embarrass us and stuff, but we still always loved him and never disrespected him or anything. And other things he would do when my mom was gone, he, of course, worshiped my mother. So everything we did was to help mother out. And so he would always have a project while she was gone. So when she got back, he would surprise her with it, whether it be painting a room, bathroom, or something. That was cute of my dad. And so he did pretty good when he had to do it all himself. He didn't get involved in laundry or the clothes or anything, but he fed us good. He got us to where we were supposed to go. So I say we couldn't wait for our mom to get back, though. We were all mama's girls, totally. So we were excited when mom got back, and she'd always bring us a little trinket surprise when she came back. She didn't go that many times, but when she did go, it was like, an adventure. We were going to have fun with Dad. So, what about your dads? Did you have experiences like that when your dad ran everything? And then I think about my son, my oldest son, and how he was a single dad and had to do everything for his kids. And he did pretty good. He gave all his money, and I usually would go shopping, the clothes shopping or the Christmas shopping or whatever, and he would just give me the money for them. And if they needed something at school, he would do it. And, he was there, always there. And it was hard to be a single parent. So I give him, the kids, they are kind of mad at him sometimes because he is an alcoholic. But he loves his kids and he was a good dad. And that's a whole nother subject, you think, about how the kids say, you should choose us over your alcohol. They can't. They can't. They're the addicts. They can't. Don't even put that out there for them because they can't. That's a whole nother subject I don't want to get into right now. But, so what kind of dad do you have? All of my sons are such good dads. You know why? Because their dad, we got divorced and he wasn't around much. They only saw their dad like twice a year. And they didn't have a dad growing up. My dad helped with my boys, and my brother helped with my boys raising them. So they worship my brother, their Uncle David, because he took them everywhere and camping and did all the boy stuff, the man stuff with them. And so kids need that. If you don't have a daddy in the home, find a grandpa that needs to do something, or find somebody that the kids can look at for a father figure, because it is so important to have a father figure and a mother figure for the kids. And if you didn't have a good dad in the home, I know what that's like because my boys didn't have a good dad in the home growing up, but it made them be better fathers. And I told him, then don't be a bad dad, and not there for your kids. So all of them are such good dads. And I'm really thankful for that they know the importance. And so if you grew up with something bad that happened, then turn it around and make your life different. I was lucky. I had a good mom and dad, and they were always there for me. My mother, when I would call her, she never would cut me off and say, oh, I can't talk, I gotta go. She always took my calls. She always was there for me. And my dad, too, he would always be so excited. And when I'd call, he'd always answer. He always answered the phone because I have a calling problem, not with family, but with, I hate to make phone calls. My mother was that way, too. So my dad always answered the phone. And then he would go, here's your mother, because he always knew we were calling to talk to my mom. And she was the best counselor. I'm like my dad, and people ask me, what will I do? Tell me their stories. What should I do? I'm like, oh, I have to go think about that for a few days. I'll get back to you. Not my mother. She knew exactly, told us right then, give us the advice, what you should do. And my sister Carolyn's like that. They just know, tell you what to do, and they don't have to think about it. I always have to think about it. Oh, okay, now. Okay, I'll get back to you. And that's how my dad was too. He kept a journal his whole life. my whole life. Writing in the journal. And what is in the journal? The weather that day, who came to their house, where they went. It doesn't have any emotions like, today was 9/11. It was so sad. Or, anything like, it doesn't have any emotional stuff in it. So he was kind of a shallow guy. He did not have an enemy. Everybody loved my dad. And it was so cute because people would call him and he would help everybody. He would go visit the widows in the church, and the bishop would send him to certain places, and they won't let anybody in, but they'd always let my dad in. And he would help them, and in his own way, take care of those widows, and that they loved him. And he knew his Bible and his scriptures so well that people would call him and say, do you know what scripture this is? And he immediately knew right where it was. He would every morning he would read the scriptures every morning while he ate his breakfast. And in his lunch pail was his lunch and his Bible, his scriptures in his lunch pail. And he loved the scriptures and he lived by them. And my dad had nothing to worry about when he died because he has done nothing wrong in his life. I swear, he was just the greatest good guy. And everybody loved him. He didn't have an enemy in the world. Okay, so I'm bragging about my dad and my parents and my life growing up. So if you didn't have that, I'm so sorry. And make your life better for your kids and your grandkids. And that's what I can say today. So that is my morning talk show. Goodbye.